The notification came through at 11:47 p.m. Transaction declined. Insufficient funds. I stared at my phone screen in the dim glow of the Tokyo hotel room. My stomach twisted into a knot. I tried the card again at the front desk terminal. Same result. Declined. Is there problem? The night clerk asked in careful English. No, just give me a moment. I stepped away from the desk, hands trembling as I pulled up my banking app. The corporate account showed zero balance. Not low. Zero. Then I saw the email. It had come through 2 hours ago while I was having dinner with our suppliers. Riley, effective immediately, your employment with Cascade Industries has been terminated. Your corporate card has been deactivated. Please make your own arrangements to return to the United States. Thomas Mitchell, VP of Operations. That was it. No explanation. No phone call. Just 23 words that upended my entire existence while I was 7,000 miles from home. I read it 3 more times. Each word felt like a physical blow. My name is Riley Wells. I'm 34 years old. For the past 6 years, I've worked as a senior procurement specialist for Cascade Industries, a company that manufactures high-end outdoor equipment. The kind of gear that costs more than most people's monthly car payments. I have a 9-year-old son named Elijah. His father walked out when Elijah was barely a year old, decided fatherhood wasn't his calling after all. So it's been just us. Me and Elijah against whatever the world throws at us. 3 weeks ago, Thomas Mitchell called me into his office. We had a crisis brewing with our primary fabric supplier in Japan. They were threatening to end our partnership over payment disputes and what they called disrespectful business practices. Riley, you're the only one who can fix this, Thomas had said, leaning back in his leather chair that probably cost more than I made in a month. You speak some Japanese. You've built relationships with these people. Get over there and smooth this out. How long will I need to be there? I'd asked. However long it takes. Could be 2 weeks. Could be a month. We need this resolved. My chest had tightened. That's a long time to be away from Elijah. Your mother can watch him, can't she? Riley, this is part of the job. If you want to keep moving up in this company, you need to show you're willing to make sacrifices. Sacrifices. That word had echoed in my mind. I'd already made plenty of sacrifices. Late nights at the office while Elijah did homework alone. Missed soccer games because of urgent meetings. Skipped birthday parties because Thomas needed something done immediately. But I'd swallowed my hesitation and said yes. Because I needed this job. Because Elijah needed food and clothes and a roof over his head. Because Thomas had a way of making you feel like any resistance meant you weren't a team player. The night before I left, Elijah had clung to me. Mom, do you really have to go? I'd held his face in my hands, looking into those brown eyes that were so much like my own. I have to, buddy. But I'll be back before you know it. I promise. You're going to miss the science fair. My heart had cracked a little. I know. I'm so sorry. But Grandma will be there. She'll take lots of pictures for me. It's not the same, he'd whispered. I know, baby. I know. Now I stood in this hotel lobby in Tokyo, holding a phone that displayed my termination notice, with exactly $47 in my personal checking account and no way to pay for my hotel room. The clerk was watching me with increasing concern. I walked back to the desk, my legs feeling disconnected from my body. I need to make a phone call, I said. Is there somewhere private I could? She gestured to a small business center off the lobby. I thanked her and walked there on autopilot. I sat down in an uncomfortable chair and called Thomas Mitchell's number. It went straight to voicemail. Of course it did. I tried the main office line. After hours message. I sent Thomas an email. I just received your termination notice. I'm in Tokyo completing the assignment you sent me on. I have no way to pay for my hotel or my flight home. Please call me immediately. I sat there for 20 minutes. No response. Let me go back further. Let me explain how I ended up in this position. I started at Cascade Industries right after Elijah's father left. I was desperate for stable income, something with benefits and regular hours. The job posting had seemed perfect. Procurement specialist for an outdoor equipment company. My background in supply chain management made me a good fit. The first few years were fine. Good even. I was competent at my job. I built relationships with suppliers across Asia and Europe. I learned enough Mandarin, Japanese, and Korean to have basic conversations. I remembered people's names, asked about their families, sent holiday cards. That's how you build trust in this industry. It's not just about price points and delivery schedules. It's about treating people like they matter. Thomas Mitchell joined the company 4 years ago. He came from a larger corporation, brought in to modernize our operations and increase efficiency. Those were the words used in the company-wide email announcing his hire. What that actually meant was cutting costs wherever possible and treating suppliers like interchangeable vendors rather than partners. Thomas was 49 years old. Always wore expensive suits. Always had the newest phone, the newest watch. He drove a car that cost more than I'd make in 5 years. He also had a way of making you feel small. Not through obvious insults. Through little comments. Subtle implications that you should feel grateful he tolerated your presence. You know, Riley, most people in your position would kill for this opportunity, he'd say when I asked for time off to attend Elijah's school events. I appreciate that. Thank you, I'd respond, because what else could I say? When I asked for a raise after 3 years of stellar performance reviews, he'd laughed. Actually laughed. Riley, you're good at your job, but let's be realistic. There are dozens of people who could do what you do. The market rate is what we're paying you. Be grateful you have stable employment. I wasn't grateful. I was trapped. But I kept showing up. Kept doing excellent work. Kept building relationships with suppliers that benefited the company enormously. 6 months ago, one of our major fabric suppliers in Japan, a company called Tanaka Textiles, started having issues with how Cascade handled payments and communication. They'd been working with us for 8 years. Family-owned business, 3rd generation, produced some of the finest technical fabrics in the world. The problems started when Thomas decided to renegotiate the contract. Without consulting me. Without understanding the relationship. He'd sent them an email, not even a phone call, demanding lower prices and faster turnaround times. The email had been curt, almost hostile. Tanaka-san, the company's president, had called me directly. Riley-san, what is this message we received? Is this truly how Cascade wishes to conduct business now? I'd been mortified. Tanaka-san, I apologize. There's been a misunderstanding. Let me look into this and call you back. I'd gone straight to Thomas's office. I just got a call from Tanaka Textiles. They received an email about contract renegotiations. I wasn't aware we were changing terms. Thomas had barely looked up from his computer. I'm streamlining processes. We're paying too much for their fabrics. Time to adjust. But Tanaka Textiles provides specialized materials we can't easily source elsewhere. And we have a relationship. A relationship doesn't matter if the numbers don't work, Riley. This is business, not a friendship club. The numbers do work. Their fabrics are what make our products premium quality. Our customers pay high prices specifically because. I've made my decision. Inform them we need lower costs or we'll find another supplier. I tried to explain. Tried to make him understand that Tanaka Textiles wasn't just another vendor. They'd worked with us through difficulties before. They'd rushed orders when we needed them. They'd maintained quality standards even when it would have been easier to cut corners. Thomas hadn't cared. Over the next few months, the relationship deteriorated. Tanaka-san stopped responding to emails as quickly. Their team became less accommodating. The warmth that had characterized our partnership for years turned cold. Finally, 2 months ago, Tanaka-san sent an official notice. They would not renew the contract when it expired in 60 days. They would fulfill existing orders but nothing beyond that. Thomas had panicked. Our entire spring product line depended on Tanaka fabrics. Without them, we couldn't deliver what we'd promised to retailers. We'd face massive penalties, lost sales, damaged reputation. That's when he'd called me into his office and sent me to Japan. Fix this, Riley. Whatever it takes. This is your responsibility. My responsibility. Even though I hadn't caused the problem. Even though I'd warned him this would happen. But I'd gone. Because that's what I did. I cleaned up Thomas Mitchell's messes. I arrived in Tokyo 3 weeks ago. The flight was long and cramped. Economy class, of course, despite the company having budget for business class. Thomas had decided that was an unnecessary expense. I took a train from the airport to my hotel. Not a nice hotel. A budget business hotel in a less convenient part of the city. Again, Thomas's cost-cutting measures. My first meeting with Tanaka-san was scheduled for the day after I arrived. I'd barely slept, still adjusting to the time difference, but I showed up early to their office in the Shibuya district. The building was older but well-maintained. I'd been there twice before over the years. Each time they'd treated me with incredible hospitality. This time felt different. The receptionist was polite but cooler. Tanaka-san's assistant led me to a conference room and offered tea but didn't make small talk the way she used to. When Tanaka-san entered, he bowed politely. I returned the bow. Riley-san. Thank you for coming so far. Tanaka-san, thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I know the situation has been difficult. We sat down. The tea between us might as well have been a wall. I will be direct, Tanaka-san said. Your company has shown us great disrespect. The email from Mitchell-san, the demands for lower prices without discussion, the assumption that we would simply accept whatever terms he decided. This is not how partners behave. I understand completely. I was not involved in those communications. If I had been. But you were not. And that itself is telling. For 8 years, you and I worked together with mutual respect. Then suddenly you are removed from communications and we receive that. His voice was calm but I could hear the hurt underneath. This wasn't just about business. It was personal. Thomas had insulted them. I am here to try to repair what's been damaged, I said carefully. I cannot undo what's been said. But I can offer my sincere apology and hope we can find a way forward. Tanaka-san studied me for a long moment. What authority do you have to negotiate? That was the question I'd been dreading. I have authority to discuss terms and bring proposals back too. So you have no actual authority. You are here to listen and report back to Mitchell-san, who will then make decisions without understanding or respect. I will advocate strongly for whatever we agree upon. Riley-san, I respect you. You have always treated my family and our business with honor. But I do not think you have the power to change what needs to change. The meeting lasted 2 hours. It was painful. Tanaka-san laid out every grievance, every moment of disrespect, every broken promise. I listened, took notes, apologized repeatedly. At the end he said, I will think about this. But I make no promises. I left that first meeting feeling defeated. I called Thomas immediately. How did it go? He demanded. Not well. They're very hurt. It's going to take time to rebuild trust. I don't have time, Riley. We need an answer. These relationships don't work on American business timelines. In Japanese culture, trust and respect are. I don't need a cultural lesson. I need results. Figure it out. He hung up. Over the next 2.5 weeks, I met with Tanaka-san and his team repeatedly. Sometimes at their office. Sometimes at restaurants or tea houses. I learned about his father who'd started the company. His daughter who was learning the business. His concerns about the future of textile manufacturing in Japan. I didn't just talk business. I listened to his stories. I showed him I cared about more than just what his company could provide mine. Slowly, incrementally, things began to shift. The coldness thawed a little. We started having actual conversations instead of formal negotiations. I worked with their team to develop new contract terms, better payment schedules, more collaborative communication protocols, a framework that treated them as partners rather than vendors. It was good work. Real work. The kind that builds something lasting. I sent updates to Thomas daily. He barely responded. When he did, it was usually just, okay, or keep me posted. Elijah's science fair came and went. I video called him but the connection was poor and kept dropping. I could see he'd built a volcano that actually erupted. My mother held the phone while he demonstrated it. He smiled but I could tell he wished I was there. I'm so proud of you, buddy, I said through the laggy video. Thanks, Mom. When are you coming home? Soon. I promise. Very soon. That was 5 days ago. 3 days ago I had a breakthrough. Tanaka-san agreed to continue the partnership. We drafted a new contract. It included slightly higher prices than what Thomas had demanded, but lower than what we'd been paying originally. It included clearer communication standards. It included a provision that I would be the primary point of contact for all major decisions. I trust you, Riley-san, Tanaka-san said. If you are involved, I know we will be treated with respect. I was thrilled. This was huge. I'd saved the partnership, secured our supply chain, and probably saved the company from millions in losses. I sent Thomas a detailed email with the proposed contract attached. I explained everything we'd negotiated. I outlined the benefits. I showed him the cost analysis proving this was actually a better deal than our previous arrangement. His response came 6 hours later. Fine. When will you be back? That was it. No, good job. No, well done. Just a question about my return. I was scheduled to fly home in 4 days. The signing ceremony with Tanaka-san was set for tomorrow morning. Then I'd have a couple days to finalize documentation before heading to the airport. I'd already started looking forward to seeing Elijah, to sleeping in my own bed, to having this nightmare assignment behind me. Then came that email tonight. That termination notice. Now I sat in this hotel business center in Tokyo at midnight, trying to figure out how to get home. I tried calling my mother, but it was early morning in Seattle and she didn't answer. I left a voicemail asking her to call me back urgently. I checked my personal bank account again. $47. My rent was due in a week. I had maybe $300 in a savings account I could access. That was it. My flight home was booked on the corporate travel account. I had no idea if that was still valid. I tried Thomas's number again. Voicemail. I sent another email. More urgent this time. Thomas, this is unacceptable. You sent me here on company business. You cannot terminate me and leave me stranded overseas with no way to return. I need answers immediately. No response. I sat there feeling numb. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be happening. But it was. After about 45 minutes, my mother called back. Riley? What's wrong? Your voicemail sounded panicked. I explained everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long silence. That bastard, she finally said. My mother rarely cursed. Riley, I can wire you money for a flight home. It might take a day or two to arrange. Mom, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. You're my daughter and you're stuck in Japan because of that horrible man's cruelty. I'm not leaving you there. I started crying. Actually crying for the first time since I'd read that email. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me. Just promise me you'll destroy him for this. I laughed through my tears. I don't think I have the power to. You have more power than you know. That company needs what you built, doesn't it? This contract you negotiated. Yes, but. Then use it. Don't let him win, Riley. Don't let him treat you like garbage and get away with it. After I hung up with my mother, I sat there thinking about what she'd said. The contract. The relationship with Tanaka-san. Everything I'd built over 3 weeks of exhausting work. Thomas had fired me. Fine. That was his choice. But why should Cascade Industries benefit from my work after treating me this way? I looked at the contract draft on my laptop. It was detailed, thorough, beneficial to both parties. Worth millions to Cascade. And it specifically named me as the primary point of contact. Tanaka-san had insisted on that clause. He trusted me. Not the company. Me. An idea started forming. It felt dangerous. Possibly reckless. But also deeply, satisfyingly right. I opened my email and composed a message to Tanaka-san. Dear Tanaka-san, I hope this message finds you well. I need to inform you of an unexpected development. Cascade Industries has terminated my employment effective immediately. I learned of this termination tonight while here in Tokyo completing the negotiations you and I have been working on together. I find myself in a difficult position. The contract we drafted together was built on mutual trust and respect. However, I will no longer be with Cascade Industries to ensure that trust and respect continue. I wanted you to hear this news directly from me rather than from someone else. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. I have greatly valued our partnership and hope we can remain in contact professionally. With deep respect, Riley Wells. I sent it before I could second-guess myself. Then I did something that felt both terrifying and liberating. I looked up the contact information for Orex Outfitters, one of Cascade's main competitors. They tried to recruit me twice over the past 3 years. I turned them down both times out of loyalty to Cascade. Loyalty. What a joke that seemed now. I found the email for their head of procurement, a woman named Harper Collins. I'd met her at industry conferences. She'd always been professional and kind. I wrote her an email. Dear Harper, this message may come as a surprise. I am currently in Tokyo completing procurement negotiations. Today I was informed that my employment with Cascade Industries has been terminated, effective immediately, despite being overseas on company assignment. I recall you mentioning previously that Orex might have opportunities for someone with my background and supplier relationships. If that interest still exists, I would welcome a conversation. I have just successfully negotiated a partnership with Tanaka Textiles in Japan, and I maintain strong relationships with suppliers throughout Asia and Europe. Please let me know if you'd like to discuss this further. Best regards, Riley Wells. I sent that email too. Then I closed my laptop, walked back to the hotel desk and explained my situation to the clerk. She was sympathetic. The hotel agreed to let me stay one more night while I sorted out payment arrangements. I went up to my room, climbed into bed and finally let myself fall apart. I cried for my son. For the uncertainty. For the humiliation of being treated like disposable garbage after years of dedicated work. But underneath the tears, something else was building. Something harder and colder than sadness. Bigger. Before I continue, I want to say thank you for staying with me through this story. I know it's heavy. I know it's difficult to hear about someone being treated this way. But I appreciate you listening. Wherever you are right now, driving, working, lying in bed, thank you for being here. Now back to what happened next. I woke up the next morning to multiple emails. The first was from Tanaka-san. Riley-san, I am very sorry to hear this news. This is most unfortunate. The contract we negotiated was built on trusting you specifically. I am not comfortable proceeding with Cascade Industries if you are not there to ensure proper treatment and communication. I hope you will understand. Perhaps we can speak today. Tanaka. The second email was from Harper at Orex Outfitters. Riley, I'm shocked to hear about your situation. Yes, absolutely, we would love to speak with you. Are you available for a video call today? Also, do you need assistance with your return travel arrangements? Please let me know. Harper. The third email was from Thomas Mitchell. Riley, I see you've been sending emails to our suppliers and competitors. This is highly inappropriate and possibly illegal. Cease contact with all Cascade partners immediately or face legal consequences. You are still bound by your non-compete agreement. I read Thomas's email 3 times. Each time I felt less afraid and more certain about what I needed to do. I wrote back. Thomas, I informed Tanaka-san of my employment status as a professional courtesy. They deserve to know from me rather than discovering it later. As for my non-compete, I suggest you consult with legal counsel. Non-compete agreements are generally not enforceable when an employee is terminated without cause while on overseas assignment without provisions for return travel. But I'm sure your lawyers can explain that better than I can. Riley. I had no idea if what I'd written about non-competes was true. But it sounded good. Then I responded to Harper. Harper, thank you so much for your quick response. Yes, I would very much appreciate assistance with travel arrangements. I'd love to speak with you today. I'm available anytime that works for your schedule. Riley. And finally I wrote to Tanaka-san. Tanaka-san, I would be honored to speak with you today. I am available at your convenience. I greatly appreciate your understanding of this situation. Riley. Within an hour I had a video call scheduled with Harper for that afternoon, and a meeting scheduled with Tanaka-san for late morning. I got dressed, went down to the hotel restaurant and had breakfast. Coffee, rice, grilled fish. I was nervous but also strangely calm. Like I'd passed through fear and come out somewhere else on the other side. At 10:30 I took a taxi to Tanaka Textiles. I'd put it on my personal credit card which was nearly maxed out. I'd figure that out later. Tanaka-san met me in the same conference room where we'd had our first difficult meeting 3 weeks ago. But the atmosphere was completely different now. Riley-san, please sit. Would you like tea? Thank you, yes. His assistant brought tea. We observed the proper rituals, the polite conversation before business. But I could see curiosity in his eyes. This situation with Cascade, he finally said. Tell me what happened. I told him everything. The email terminating me while I was in Tokyo. The cancelled corporate card. Thomas Mitchell's behavior over the past years. The lack of respect not just for me but for suppliers like Tanaka Textiles. Tanaka-san listened carefully. His expression grew more serious as I talked. This is shameful, he said when I finished. To treat an employee this way. Especially one who has served the company with such dedication. I appreciate your saying that. The contract we negotiated, he continued. It was built on trust in you specifically. You understand our culture. You treat us with respect. Mitchell-san does not. The others at Cascade, I do not know them. I only know you. I understand. I won't hold it against you if you decide not to move forward with Cascade. Tanaka-san smiled slightly. You misunderstand. I am saying I do not wish to move forward with Cascade. But I would very much like to continue working with you. Wherever you go. The weight of what he was saying settled over me. Tanaka-san, I may be joining a competitor. Oryx Outfitters. If that happens, would you be interested in? Yes, he said immediately. If you are there, we will work with them. Your new company will have access to our fabrics. Cascade Industries will not. But we haven't signed anything yet. The contract was never signed. We have no obligation to Cascade. They treated us poorly. They treated you worse. I see no reason to reward such behavior. I felt something shift in my chest. Relief maybe. Or vindication. If Cascade reaches out to you, I will tell them the truth. That we choose to work with companies who value their people and their partners. They have shown they do neither. We talked for another hour about specifics. What kinds of materials Tanaka Textiles could provide to Oryx. Pricing structures. Delivery capabilities. Tanaka-san even mentioned other suppliers he knew in Japan and Korea who might be interested in working with Oryx if I joined them. You have built goodwill throughout this industry, Riley-san. People remember how you treat them. That has value. More value than Mitchell-san understands. When I left Tanaka Textiles that morning, I felt different. Lighter. More certain. At 2 p.m. Tokyo time, I had my video call with Harper from Oryx. She appeared on screen, a woman in her mid-50s with gray hair and a warm smile. Riley, thank you for reaching out. Though I wish it were under better circumstances. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Let me be direct. We've wanted to hire you for years. You're one of the best procurement specialists in the industry. Everyone knows it. The fact that Cascade treated you this way is unconscionable, but I'll be honest, it's also an opportunity for us. She outlined what Oryx could offer. A procurement director position. Significantly higher salary than what I'd been making at Cascade. Full benefits. Flexible schedule since I was a single mother. The ability to work remotely when not traveling. We also, Harper continued, would cover your immediate expenses. I've already arranged for a business class ticket home for you tomorrow. And will reimburse you for any personal expenses you've incurred during this situation. I felt tears prick my eyes. That's incredibly generous. It's the right thing to do. Now tell me about these supplier relationships you've built. I told her about Tanaka Textiles. About the other suppliers I'd worked with across Asia. About the relationships I'd cultivated over years of treating people with respect and understanding their needs. Tanaka-san has indicated he'd be willing to work with Oryx if I join you, I said. They produce some of the finest technical fabrics in the world. Having access to their materials would be a significant advantage. Harper's eyes lit up. That would be huge for us. Cascade has had exclusive access to Tanaka fabrics for years. We've tried to establish a relationship, but they've always declined. They're declining Cascade now. Because of how Cascade treated you. Partially. Also because of how Cascade treated them. Harper smiled. Karma's real, isn't it? We talked for another hour about expectations, responsibilities, team structure. Everything felt right. Professional, respectful, collaborative. I'd like to extend a formal offer, Harper finally said. I'll have our legal team draw up paperwork today. You can review it when you get back to Seattle. Take your time. Talk to a lawyer if you want. We want you to feel good about this decision. I already feel good about it, I said. But I'll review everything properly. Thank you, Harper. Truly. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Welcome to Oryx, Riley. After the call ended, I sat in my hotel room feeling overwhelmed. 24 hours ago, I'd been fired via email and stranded overseas. Now I had a better job, a flight home, and the satisfaction of knowing Cascade was about to lose its most important supplier. I checked my email. There were 6 messages from Thomas Mitchell. Riley, call me immediately. Riley, I'm serious. We need to talk. What have you done with Tanaka Textiles? They won't return our calls. This is sabotage. You will face legal action. Riley, let's be reasonable about this. Perhaps the termination was hasty. We can discuss bringing you back. Answer your damn phone. I deleted each one without responding. Then I composed one final email to Thomas Mitchell. Thomas, you terminated my employment while I was overseas on company assignment. You left me stranded in a foreign country with no way to return home. You called me a loser. Yes, I saw the text you sent before deleting it. You showed me exactly how much you value my years of dedicated work. I owe you nothing. Not my time, not my expertise, not my relationships with suppliers who have chosen to no longer work with Cascade Industries. I did not sabotage anything. I simply stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own behavior. Tanaka Textiles chose to end your partnership because of how you treated them and how you treated me. Other suppliers will likely make the same choice when they learn what happened. You taught me an important lesson. Loyalty means nothing to people like you. So I'm done being loyal to companies that treat people as disposable. I'll be returning to Seattle tomorrow. Do not contact me again unless it's through legal counsel. And if you do pursue legal action, I'll be happy to discuss in court how you terminated an employee overseas without providing return travel, in violation of Department of Labor regulations. Good luck with your spring product line. Riley Wells. I sent it and blocked his email address. Then I called my mother. Riley, are you okay? I've been worried sick. Mom, I'm fine. Better than fine. I got a new job. What? How? When? I told her everything. She listened, occasionally gasping or laughing or saying, "Oh honey." When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "I'm so proud of you," she finally said. "You didn't just survive this. You turned it into something better. I haven't done anything yet. I still need to prove myself at Orex." "You've already proven yourself. That's why they wanted you. That's why Tanaka-san chose to work with you instead of Cascade. Riley, you built something real. Something that couldn't be taken from you even when they tried." After I hung up with my mother, I called Elijah. He answered on the second ring. "Mom." "Hey buddy. Guess what?" "What?" "I'm coming home tomorrow." He squealed. Actually squealed with joy. "Really? Tomorrow? Really? And I have big news. I got a new job. A better job. With better hours. Which means I'll be home more. Does that mean you can come to my soccer game on Saturday?" My heart clenched. "Yes. Absolutely yes. I'll be at every game I possibly can from now on." "This is the best day ever," Elijah said, and I heard such pure happiness in his voice that I started crying again. "I love you so much, buddy." "Love you too, Mom. See you tomorrow." That evening I treated myself to a nice dinner. Not extravagant, but better than the budget meals I'd been eating. I sat in a small restaurant in Shibuya eating sushi and drinking sake, and I let myself feel proud. The flight home the next day was surreal. Business class. Something I'd never experienced on a work trip. The seat reclined into an actual bed. The food was good. The flight attendants brought me champagne. I slept most of the flight. Real deep sleep for the first time in weeks. When I landed in Seattle, Elijah and my mother were waiting at arrivals. Elijah ran to me and I scooped him up even though he was really getting too big for that. "You're home," he said into my shoulder. "I'm home. And I'm not going anywhere for a long time." My mother hugged us both. "Welcome back, sweetheart." The first week back was a whirlwind. I reviewed the employment contract from Orex with a lawyer friend who confirmed everything was solid. I signed the paperwork. I started my new position. Harper had me work from home for the first 2 weeks to ease back into things. I attended video meetings, reviewed supplier files, started building relationships with Orex's existing partners. Tanaka-san and I had several calls to formalize the partnership between his company and Orex. He was delighted with the new arrangement. "This is how business should be, Riley-san. Built on respect." Word spread quickly in the industry. Cascade had lost Tanaka Textiles. Riley Wells had moved to Orex. Other suppliers started reaching out, asking about opportunities to work with Orex now that I was there. I heard through industry contacts that Cascade was scrambling. Without Tanaka Fabrics, they couldn't fulfill their spring line commitments. They were facing massive penalties from retailers. Their stock price dropped. Thomas Mitchell apparently tried to convince Tanaka-san to reconsider. He even flew to Japan himself. Tanaka-san refused to meet with him. "I do not do business with people who lack honor," Tanaka-san told me when I heard about it. Mitchell-san showed his character. I believe him. 3 weeks after I started at Orex, I got a call from a lawyer representing Cascade Industries. They were alleging I'd stolen trade secrets and violated my non-compete. I referred them to Orex's legal team. Our lawyers reviewed everything and determined the claims were baseless. I hadn't taken any proprietary information. I hadn't violated any enforceable agreements. I'd simply moved to a competitor after being wrong.